surfer.
All right, well, cat's out of the bag, back again with another podcast, or I guess re-recording in this sense. Either way, look, it's been too long. We're back in action with a new show, new guests, new conversations. You get it. This is the Creative Juices podcast, which is by creatives for creatives. I am your host, Keegan Hartman. I am a fellow designer in collegiate athletics, and I wanted to take the niche audience, or this niche audience, you being the listener at home, wherever you're listening, behind the proverbial curtain and introduce them to the masterminds behind their favorite sports content. Over the course of this summer, this podcast, we're on the back stretch of this summer. This podcast will look to take you behind the scenes with some of the sports content's biggest names, from designers to videographers, social media coordinators, and everything in between. And to kick off this season of the Creative Juices podcast, I am sitting down with the creative director of Division Two juggernaut, Pittsburg State football creative director Prince Miller. Prince, a native of Overland Park, Kansas, and an upcoming junior communications major at Pittsburg State University in Pittsburg, Kansas, has quickly established himself as one of the most dynamic creatives in the entire collegiate athletics landscape. A graduate of Shawnee Mission South High School in Overland Park, Kansas, Miller was first introduced to the videography or to videography and the field of creative content while in his sophomore year of high school. Under the direction of photojournalism teacher Tucker Love, Prince would quickly be introduced to the fields of both photography and videography. From Miller's eye-popping compositions for both guerrilla football and women's basketball to his captivating video productions, Prince has helped to propel both the Pittsburg State football and women's basketball programs to new heights, accruing over 20,000 followers on Instagram and nearly amassing 38,000 followers on X. All that said, he has quickly grown to become one of my favorite creatives in all of the industry. You can find him on TikTok and Instagram at Short Hercs. I said that right. Again, I'm on a hot streak.
Yeah.
Hey man, I try. He is the man, the myth, the legend. He joins me for a second time re-recording. Ladies and gentlemen, he's gonna bring the heat again, as always. Prince Miller. Prince, happy Monday. How you doing, buddy?
It's always a great time to join you, Keegan. Even
I
if it's for a
appreciate
second
that.
time,
I
it's always a
appreciate
good
that.
time.
Yeah, so for the listeners listening at home, we initially did this back in May, and we had it, silly old me. I thought that everything was going to be in order. I was like, all right, I'm going to put this in my Google Drive. So I thought, and I'd have an extra copy on my computer so I can edit and everything. Well, none of that came to fruition. And yeah, here we are. We're here for a second time to re record this. And you know what? Second time's the charm. After this episode's done, I'm quickly scheduling this and getting it out this week. It's going to be dropping at the end of this week. So, first episode is going to be coming at you quick, wherever you're listening, whenever you're listening. Happy you are listening. So, look, man, let's get right into it. So, I know as creatives, we are constantly looking for inspiration to help sort of get the juices flowing. Hence, part of the reason of the name, the Creative Juices Podcast. When we're looking to compose compositions, whether it's video content or graphics, we're constantly looking for ideas to build off of and or translate within our own works. So, kind of with that, like I wanted to kind of put together sort of this Mount Rushmore, and obviously we did this last time, but your top five collegiate creatives in the industry today, whether it be individual creatives or teams as a whole. Yeah, dude, kind of tell me what your Mount Rushmore is in terms of individual creatives that you look for inspiration, and then even some teams that you look to.
Yeah, I remember that question midway through, and I thought I deleted the note, and I got really scared that I was gonna have to list all that off the top of my head, but I found it. So I do. So since I do videography and graphic design, I have two lists. I have two top fives. We're gonna
Okay.
start with the videography one.
Yeah.
This is in no specific order. I have Dom.
Okay.
Not gonna try and pronounce his last name. I might butcher it. From Ohio State.
Okay.
Love his 3D, his Blender work, his flow. I love the way he edits things in After Effects. I love everything about his work. Jameson McDivitt, who actually just graduated from Florida, but University of Florida. I really like their stuff, and I really like his flow. That's the main thing. I feel like that's one of my weak spots and stuff. Whenever I need to like figure out flow, I kind of study his work and how he meshes things together. Um, we have Ben Hesk from Princeton with lacrosse. I love his lacrosse content. I think he has good song choices, good edits, good timing, and everything in between. Josiah Christopher from LSU. Um, a lot of times, like with filming sports, you kind of you shoot a lot in like 120, 60, but a lot of his work is in 24, and I like that style. It's kind of like a you either you get it or you don't. There's no like going back and like slow moing it to save it, and so I like his raw and like fast paced style of shooting in 24, and then for my last one for the videographers, I have Braden Schmidt from Oregon. Um, I mean, if you know, you know. I feel like that one needs no explanation. um, and
That's a
then
good list.
for graphics, I have Keegan Hartman, obviously.
Thank you.
I love your like your thresholding and your gradient maps. I've started including those in like all of my graphics and like all of that just because I've seen how well you execute it. Um, even in I don't know if I told you this last time, but even in like the women's basketball like scorecards last year, like I tried to recreate a lot of that, and it didn't turn out as well as yours, but there was there was a thought there. Uh, the next one is Calso Scoped.
Yeah.
I think he works with Florida State.
Mhm.
I don't know if he's still there, but I really like his work. He's like kind of like the OG of like this whole thing. Um, Taught me a lot on his YouTube tutorials. If you
Oh
know,
yeah.
you know.
Same.
Uh, Rico Da Vinci. Um, I don't. He's not like a college guy. These last two aren't, but Rico is just kind of like one of those guys. Like he kind of like I would say he like transcends the game. He kind of like takes different body parts and like molds them into like different like perspectives and things like that. And it just brings a like a new perspective, and it's it's uh it's artistry, and it's something that's unique to him. Um,
Nice.
and then Ethan J Design, he's also not a college guy either, but he does a lot of like NBA stuff. And whenever I do floating head posters or floating head graphics, I know that I can always rely on looking at his graphics for inspiration. Because I would say he's one of the goats. And then he does like really good. He does a really good job at incorporating Blender into his graphics for certain effects. So I would put him that or that's my top five, top four for for graphics.
No, that's a good list on both sides for both the videography and graphic design. Humbled to be a part of that list. And I'll be honest with you, I've been seeing like with some of the women's basketball work, especially, I've been seeing you integrate the gradient map and
Yeah,
trying to get that integrated into there in some capacity. And dude, people think it's so like if you do, obviously if you've never worked with gradient maps, it's a new thing, but it's honestly super like it's way more simplified than it's not a complex process. Like once you do it a couple of times, it becomes repetition. And I know we're sworn to secrecy on like the brands, but off camera, I can give you a few pointers on, how to maybe navigate, how to implement gradient maps. But no, you talk about Ethan, and then Calsoscope. I saw some of like getting into graphic design when I was watching tutorials. Those were actually two guys that I would reference, and the Blender aspect with some of Ethan's work. I'm like, how I got into Blender. I actually did a graphic for like a milestone for a player back when I was doing NAIA stuff with Indiana Wesleyan. I watched how he did one of the glass effects, and I wanted to throw my computer because I was like, this is ridiculous. This is insane. And then like with the skin touch up with what Calso Scope does, man, it just both
Yeah,
of
that's
those
really cool.
guys, dude, they're freaking awesome. And I would say that I don't know if you'd agree with this, but like I feel like a lot of creatives look to guys like those two for like that influence to try to step their game up in terms of player treatment and trying to add like 3D elements to their compositions. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
No, I completely agree. And to go back to that like skin retouching point, it's like I don't know if it's just me, but I can always tell um I can always tell like a Calso scope graphic just based on how the retouch looks.
Yeah,
Like he just has like a certain like type of retouch that like that's like his graphic. Or even if someone is replicating it, like like they're replicating his style of skin retouching. So I don't know. It's just him and Ethan. They're kind of like the blueprint when it comes to their individual things that they're good at. So skin retouching and like the glass effect, like those, they are really are the blueprint when it comes to that stuff.
for sure. And you know, I didn't ask this the last podcast, but you bring up a good point with kind of making it your own. When you look at some of the compositions that you've done and with the video work, it's easy to point for me because I'm so used to watching your content. I'm like, oh, that's Prince. Like I know exactly when you're doing your stuff, you have like a certain look to yours that you always strive for and execute perfectly. But like with your graphic stuff, like I'm curious, take me behind the curtain. What's sort of something that you've tried to integrate into Pittsburg State's brand to kind of sort of make it your own, kind of like give it your own look, give it your own touch and your own taste that like this is a Prince thing. This ain't a Gorillas thing, but you know, what's sort of that element?
Definitely the format of text. It's kind of since we've signed with Nike and everybody's kind of under the same text, it kind of takes away that. But literally, like I'm telling you, ever since I learned gradient maps, like there is not. I could go through every single file from when I learned it. There's a gradient map on every single graphic. There's a gradient map on the schedule graphic. There's a gradient map on. I'm just. I can't even think. There's a gradient map on every single graphic. So just like certain like color corrections, like there's like I'll have like certain like curves and adjustments to make every post kind of look the same that no other team really knows. That's kind of specific only to football, and that like oh like this was made by football. Prince probably made it, and then just like text format as well, kind of like you know um, just like how text is laid out, kind of in that format.
Right. So, I guess that brings up and obviously we'll get into more of the conversation of sort of your breakdown and maybe dive in a little bit more to your process. I know we weren't as like that wasn't like an in-depth conversation first time around, but I kind of want to pivot and sort of build the story as we did previously. So, before we take this conversation any further, I first wanted to kind of start by gaining a better understanding for your story specifically. So, as mentioned in the introduction, leading up to this episode, you are a native of Kansas City, Missouri, graduated from Shawnee Mission South High School. So, kind of take the viewers through your introduction into the creative space, specifically reverting back to your high school days. What sort of influenced you to jump into sports media specifically?
Well, I mean, I don't even get into media. We have to go like like before high school. I had learned how to use a computer when I was like 4. So I was just learning how to walk and then learning how to use a computer at the same time. And at that same time, like I had unrestricted access to the internet, which not a good idea, but I was looking at a lot of like YouTube videos, and I wanted to be a YouTuber. So by the time I got into second grade, I started making YouTube videos on my own, and that's kind of how I got into like photo editing. I was using things like Paint.net and GIMP and things like that. It's a throwback.
OG,
um,
man.
and yeah,
If you know, you know,
and
everybody.
And so that was kind of like my introduction into like photo editing, and then using things like Sony Vegas, or um, yeah, Sony Vegas. Really, just using those was kind of like my introduction into editing. And then fast forward to high school, I've been making this YouTube channel this whole time, and then I go into high school. I take a video one class to kind of sharpen up my skills, and I get introduced into Premiere and the whole Adobe suite. And I realize I really don't know ball. Like there's really just another level to this, and so kind of take a step back from it and kind of just try out the photojournalism thing with my teacher Tucker Love. I also start playing football, and I'm getting injured all the time, and so I take advantage of the fact that I have player access. Like I have access that no one really has access to. And this was like right after, this was during COVID. We were doing hybrid, and so they weren't gonna let just any random photog into like the locker room to get access and stuff. And so just using the access that I had, I was able to get different shots and take videos and take pictures. And I found that I really liked the sports side of it, and I incorporated it into graphics, and that slowly led into like me creating schedules for our football team. And then the better I got, the more other teams wanted to include me in their stuff. And all of a sudden now I'm getting paid to create stuff, and it's not much, but it's something. Um, and then I'm creating, and I'm making videos, and it kind of snowballs into its own thing.
Which one would you say you fell in love with first? Would it have been photography or the videography aspect?
I would say I think I liked photography, but once I started filming football, I fell in love with it a lot more. Like I would say, yeah, I fell for it a lot harder than I did photography. Yeah.
Nice. And so you talk about sort of that, and this is also another question that I didn't bring up in the previous, but we kind of talked about it. Rhett, so in episode three, ladies and gentlemen, you'll be introduced to Rhett Hayward, who's a colleague of mine at Missouri State. He actually assumed my role at Missouri State, but he was a baseball player that transferred over from Evangel and ultimately and inevitably pursued a career in graphic design once his baseball career had kind of concluded. And so that transition where are kind of, you kind of determine the path where you're wanting to go, and you make the decision to kind of follow the content aspect of things. When you sort of make that transition, man, he talked about the comfortability of being able to go into Missouri State and sort of establish that branding element for Missouri State's baseball team, not only last year but the previous year. But like, how does that play a factor into adapting into that environment? So like, not even like working for Pittsburg State's football program, but even back when you were in high school, you said that you had that access to like your teammates and what have you. I mean, was there like, did you sense it was there has to be a comfort level, and obviously you probably established good rapport with the coaches and whatnot. Kind of take me through that relationship and that dynamic, and how that kind of helped you establish that career on the content creation side, and how that might have translated to where you're at now working with Pittsburgh State football.
I mean, the way I see it, I think when it comes to videography or just working with clients in general, relationship is everything, and understanding what you're creating is everything. And when you're a part of a team, and like you know the team, you kind of know the culture, you know what kind of vibe that the team or the coach like wants their team to carry out, and that can carry out into your graphics. So, um, like for example, with Pitt, every year we have like a different saying. We have grit, family, and then OGAG. Last year was grit. This year it's own it. Though, like that, like those are the type of things. Like that's like an attitude that you want to carry into your team, and that's a like there's certain elements that you can transfer into graphics that kind of like emulate that kind of like attitude, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, you're just I feel like you're just gonna care more if you have a relationship with the team that you're working with. I did stuff with the soccer team, and like it was cool, but I just my heart wasn't in it as much as it was when I was working with our football team.
Right. Is that breaking news with the own it? Is that a new
No,
thing?
no, 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 no. I'm talking about in high school, not
Oh,
not now, not
oh,
now, not
oh,
now.
oh, okay, okay. I was like, whoa, wait a second. No, I did that intentionally to catch you off guard. But no, no, that's cool how you tie that in with the brands themselves because football is kind of its own animal, no pun intended. And like with the what's a gorilla? Always a gorilla. Anyways, but no, like
Yeah.
with the with them sort of establishing their own sort of identity within an identity, I think that creates, with us for Missouri State, it was out hit, out hustle. And that brand sort of kind of trademarked with Coastal when the coaching staff migrated over to South Carolina with Coastal Carolina. And so, yeah, no, that I think plays perfectly into sort of building the identity. And I guess it warrants the relationship. I guess maybe elaborate in terms of like establishing the relationship around that. I guess I'm kind of a little lost on like how that might be able to play into the dynamic. Maybe I'm not
Um.
clear.
Well, at least for me personally, the what my job requires at Pitt is that every game day video is going to be played for the players before the game. So
Oh,
they'll
okay.
watch the video before we post it. And
That's fair.
so having a relationship with the players, getting to know like what type of music they like yes, you're posting for the audience, but you're also like posting for the players.
Hmm.
And so like just knowing the players, knowing how they are, all of that stuff that leads into like the chemistry like on camera. Like they shouldn't be focused on the camera, but like when they get on camera, like there's just that chemistry and comfortability there between you and the athlete,
Right.
and it makes things easier. And when you're doing graphics as well, I don't know how to explain it. It's just kind of like a like it just kind of happens like like oh like he won't like this like he will hate if I put this picture here,
Yeah.
and I guess I kind of have more flexibility because I'm at a D2. And I guess there's more restrictions at like a D1, like you have to use this photo, but just having the flexibility to like pick and choose and know what like a certain player will and will not like, or how they are on the field, and how you can incorporate that into videos when it comes to like music choice, or like how they're perceived on a video, or when to record them. Um, like like during pregame, like you'll know what certain players will do when they run out, like if they'll scream, or if they'll do like a prayer, or if they'll you know
Yeah.
just certain things like that. It kind of I'm trying to find the words. um it's like you don't really have to pre-plan, like you can just go fast
It's organic.
and not really have to think. Yeah, organic, yes, that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, no, and that's a very good point. And it also like you alluded to, it's for the most part, it's very comfortable, especially when you're working at a smaller school, because you kind of set forth the branding structure, whether it be in video or
Mm.
whether it be in photo or whether it be in graphics, and having that relationship has an effect and has an impact. Now it makes sense, what you're saying, like that's gonna create relationship, and that relationship's only gonna, it'll build stronger with time, and that's only gonna make for better content. Like your content's gonna get better as the relationship and the dynamic continues to cultivate. That's a very good point and very interesting perspective. But kind of just going a little bit back, not deeper than high school. So you get through high school and you kind of find your passion and your niche in photography and videography, but transitioning into Pittsburg State. So what kind of set Pittsburg State apart for you? What stood out? What was promising about, being able to enter in and being able to go into the creative space? How did you kind of get into the creative space while at Pittsburg State?
Well, I mean, it just started off with just getting the job, and
That
then finding a problem,
was a good answer.
finding a problem, and then solving it.
That's a
um,
good answer. Real good at it.
Initially, when I got the job, I was just meant to just do video, and that was gonna be it. But I noticed a problem with the social media, and my initial thoughts were, for as good as a team as this is, why is our social media low key trash? So I asked my boss. I was like, "Hey, can I I have skills in graphics. Like I put in graphics in my like cover letter and stuff in my portfolio when I applied for the job." And I was like, "You like I have the skills to do graphics. If I wanted to take this on full time, could I?" And she was like, "Yeah, go ahead. I'm not gonna do it." And so that I took it on, and it kind of became an obsession, just kind of like seeing how the social media just kind of transformed from what it was before into a more consistent branding. And then you see the results of what consistent branding can do, and the coaches like it, the players like it, and it's good for your portfolio. And so it just kind of kept snowballing and into its own thing. And I mean that's kind of just how it happened.
Dude, I mean, I said it before and I'll say it again. You put them on the map with, I mean, obviously you've established a team since you've arrived to the scene and been able to help Pittsburg State. But like, I mean, I'll say it before, I'll probably say it again, and I'll even say it now. Like, you've established a brand for Pittsburg State to really roll with and ride with. And you think about the ascension of the brand itself, it's got to be like for you, you got to be like, man, dude, like I was a part of this and I was able to help build this up from ground level. And now sitting at, I think we had said like at the top of the intro, it was like, oh, like over 20,000 followers or somewhere in the
Yeah,
ballpark on Instagram and nearly like 35,000 plus on Twitter. Like that is an amazing feat for a Division II program to accomplish. And obviously you talk about the success of Pittsburg State, like at the Division II level. If you've never heard of Pittsburg State, which I would be surprised, because they've had a lot of things trend on social media recently. And
yeah,
I mean they are a staple in the Division II sphere, and not just in that sport, like not just in football, but other programs as well. But like, where was I going with this? There was a whole nother question I was going to get into. Yeah, so that okay, I got the question. Time in. Here we go. So sort of getting in there and making a contribution on both sides, being videography and graphics and photography. I know we kind of talked about building that team when you first got there, and I think last year was kind of your first stint in sort of trying to put together a team of interns. I don't know, you can kind of talk a little bit more about like establishing that team and sort of building that structure, and then kind of transition it into sort of like the day-to-day process and what everything looks like for a Division II creative team.
yeah. Day to day is traumatizing, but I will talk about it.
Okay.
But like building the team, um, it was just kind of my freshman year. It was just me and a photographer, and sometimes like okay, there was a GA that would help out with graphics. Sometimes it was nice that he knew how to use Photoshop. But then they both left, and I was stuck by myself, and it was kind of like, well, you know, so
Back to square.
um, and yeah, literally. And so and I don't think in the history of Pitt athletics there's ever been like a media team. There's been like media personnel for fan engagement or
Idiot
for
volunteers.
just not even volunteers.
Oh no.
There's so I came up with the idea. I was like, if we can get some help, like I feel like like the brand has been established well enough to where you can see what the clear goal is of the brand, and like what it will entail. And if people want to be a part of it, they can be a part of it. If they're not good enough, they're not good enough. But I would like to build a team of people to at least make it easier on me, and to also increase our output to increase the growth of the account. And so kind of just shot out a graphic, and some people reached out, and I mean they've all been rock stars this last year. It was a little rough, kind of like doing that, because I've never done anything like that before, at least on like a managerial level. But I mean they've all been very pleasant to work with, and they've all like really stepped up into their own. And I honestly I couldn't do what I do without them. They make my job a lot easier. My workload has increased like tenfold, but they make it a lot easier to handle. Um, and I mean, this year I think we're gonna have a team of 9. I think last year we had like a team of like 5, and so this like it's just gonna keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And yeah, I don't know. They make my job really easy. Um, Day to day, oh gosh. Um, let's see. Sunday we'll have this. Let's just say we're in like week 3. Sunday we'll have an intern meeting. Just going over like what we're gonna do for the week. I'll give the photogs and videographers assignments for the week of what to capture throughout practice. And then I will make a game week graphic, and hopefully the photogs will have the photos from the game on Saturday uploaded. Monday, uh, Monday. If the game week graphic isn't uploaded by Sunday, then it should be uploaded that day. But I'll also on Monday during practice, I'll work on recruitment graphics, and kind of get all of those sent out, and the coaches will have a list for me to go through, and I'll create all of those, and that usually takes up all my time. And then Tuesday we will do our jersey. We'll shoot a jersey reveal video to have that published on Thursday. Thursday.
There you
I,
go.
I'm remembering. And then we'll also have Tiny Tuesday posted from last game's pictures. And then Wednesday we'll have Black and White Wednesday. Work on more recruitment graphics if they're not done. Get stuff uploaded from practice. Thursday will be Thread Reveal Thursday, so we'll just get that video uploaded. And then Friday, if we have an away game, we'll probably end up traveling. If not, we're just chilling. 24-hour graphic, filming practice, making sure everything's ready for Saturday. And then Saturday, well, I'll get the interns breakfast in the morning.
Hey,
Um, get
get with the
everybody
people.
together a few hours early. Yeah, I gotta. I think people work harder for people that they genuinely like, and so if I get people to like me as their like, I don't want people to see me as their boss, but I am technically their boss. If they like me, I feel like they're gonna work harder.
Heck yeah.
That I mean that goes for anybody.
Yeah.
Um, but I'll get them breakfast if we have like a 2 p.m. kickoff, or if we have like a night kickoff, I'll get them like Freddy's or something for lunch.
Nice.
And then we'll go over our assignments for the game, and then we'll have gorilla walk. And then it's kickoff time. It's full steam ahead.
And then, so on the game days, and you alluded to this as well, like it's sort of I mean, you're in like 20 different places all at once. And so like
So
running
yeah.
like a chicken with your head cut off, in terms of getting content out and everything. What is like I guess the posting sort of breakdown like, are we constantly active? Obviously in game it might be a little bit more difficult, but leading up, I know there's windows to get like, if you're doing gorilla walk, you want to be able to get those elements and you want to get those features. Pre-game, anything pre-game. What are some of your favorite pieces, I guess, that you like to implement on game days, that maybe might not be the most like daunting or the craziest, but even the crazier ones, because sometimes the crazier ones are the good ones.
I would say my favorite. I like the whole thing. It's like I don't know if you've ever been to a gorilla walk, but I love the way that the town really shows out for football.
Yeah.
And so seeing the gorilla walk every time, like it's not the same feeling as the first time, but it's always an amazing feeling to just go by, and like sometimes you'll see your friends and they'll, hey friends, and they're like you can't hear anything and the band's playing and it's loud and everybody's walking and the town showing out, and that's so that would probably be my favorite part. But in terms of like posting, I'm running around with my camera in my hand trying to get the players doing gorilla walk, Gus the gorilla high fiving the kids, and then I'm on my phone as well in my other hand filming it for social media, getting that uploaded, getting that caption and uploaded, um, and sent to my boss for approvals. And then Getting, and then my photogs after the gorilla walk is done, they're in the locker room getting their photos edited, sent over to me to get that stuff uploaded for like 1 hour before game day post. And then we're on the field getting pregame flicks. I'm again on the field with my camera in my hand, phone in the other, getting stuff for pregame. And then kickoff happens, and we're filming. And then we just do quarter posts and our photogs. Sloan, Jacob, and Ava, they'll get a picture out. Jacob will cook up a graphic with a template, and he'll get that sent over to me. And I mean that's usually how it goes. And then post game, let's say we win, we're gonna get the win graphic out. I'm going to go run over to the team before they run away from me, and I'm gonna film them. And then after the game, whenever I feel like I have enough footage, I'm gonna speed walk over to the office, basically redo the entire gorilla walk and get footage edited, and uploaded as fast as possible, of them celebrating. And that kind of concludes like what I would do in a game day. And then after, obviously, I would go through the footage and get everything ready for a Sunday recap. I do a Sunday recap every time, so I would have my footage cold and everything and sorted on Saturday, so that it's easier for me to do the edit on Sunday.
You know, random fact, but so back when I was like 7 years old, my cousin played for Pittsburg State, and he was a
Hmm.
tight end. He wasn't good. Shout out to Logan if you're watching this. But anyways, so we went to go. Like I don't know if we were at a scrimmage. I vaguely remember this. I'm guys. I look like I'm 12, but I'm actually 26. I vaguely remember this. This is 20 years ago. But my parents, I remember they told me like maybe this was a few months ago. They said we took you to that game. I don't know how the conversation came up. They said we took you to that game, and you were just scared out of your mind of Gus the gorilla. And I still look, Gus, if you watch this podcast, hey man, I don't have any beef with you, dog. But yeah, you just I don't know the costume. It doesn't seem kid friendly. I'm not dogging Pittsburgh State.
No, 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 no. Look, I've seen some old pictures of Gus.
Yeah,
You are 100% in the right.
I was like, I can't. No, I was like, every time he'd walking up and down like the old, I don't know if the stadium's had any renovations since, but like how I remember it, I guess he was like walking up and down the bleachers, and every time, I guess my parents were telling me he'd come in my vicinity, I'd just be like I just didn't want anything to do with him. Like, please get away from me. But no. So I guess sticking with sort of the content production aspect of things. Shout out to Gus, by the way. So what would you say your most, as far as football or even women's basketball, because I know you've done content for them, and they made a pretty deep run this last year. What would you say is your sort of fondest memory of being with Pittsburgh State athletics thus far, and or what's your favorite piece of content that you have produced for them thus far?
My favorite. I'm gonna do my favorite piece of media before I do fondest moment because I'm. It's no, it's not close. My favorite piece of media that I've ever created would probably be. Dang, dude.
Yeah, sorry to throw you on the spot there.
Probably no. You're good. I would probably. There's a lot of pieces that I would say I'm proud of, but I think the piece that I felt proudest of was our playoff opener, which actually it's not even on social media, but that was my like when I got to Pitt, like one of my ultimate goals was to make a video that was on the jumbotron, and I got an opportunity to do that, and I feel like I personally took full advantage of it. I reached out to an alum from like the 1961 national championship back when we were still at NAIA. I had him do a voiceover. It was crazy. They told me old stories and stuff, and I it felt good to see it all on screen. And so I would say that was probably the my like the proudest or like best piece of work in my opinion. But the fondest moment would probably be my freshman year, that 2023-24 women's basketball team when we went to the Elite Eight.
Yeah,
That team, yeah, yeah,
nasty.
that team was something special, man.
They were good. Well,
They were real good, but I mean the relationships I built with that team in that in that moment, I don't think I really spent a lot of time with them up until that time, but I feel like we grew really close in that amount of time that we were together, and it was awesome seeing them just kind of celebrate and win everything.
well, you talk about like, so do you still like, are there still players on the team from that year still playing even to today, or have they all kind of moved on?
Um, there's one, but I mean for the most part, all of them we graduated an entire lineup that year,
Oh,
so
wow.
that
So
was
you
kind of
had
like my
good
last.
experience.
Yeah, that was yeah.
Gotcha. So like, well, the reason I ask is because that kind of plays into the next question. Like nowadays, and obviously, look, money is like the biggest conversation piece when it comes to recruits and recruitment. But I would say the second biggest thing is definitely our work, what we do, and how we try to present these brands and everything. And obviously, this isn't breaking news, but Pittsburg State just made the switch over from Adidas to Nike. And so with that transition opens up a whole new sort of Pandora's box of opportunity to be able to land certain recruits and also kind of put the brand on a map as a whole. Um, you have these different fans that have their own allegiance with certain brands, but like this is a really big deal for a Division II program to make that switch and going with Nike. Like, what do you think the future holds for Pittsburg State as a whole? And I guess speak to the effect on like what you feel like your responsibility is in today's climate with NIL and recruitment and how you look to navigate that during your off season and what have you when you're granted the opportunity.
Um, I mean, in terms of recruiting, I know social media it's like grown a lot more of a factor when it comes to recruiting players. Um, if your social media doesn't look good, then your program usually doesn't look good from the outside.
Amen.
And it's going to be hard to lure in recruits for visits if you can't make it look attractive from the outside, and that's where kind of social media comes into play. Um, but in terms of NIL, you're also if you can make the program look good, then you can make an individual player look good as well. And so if they see a good social media and they see good creators on maybe their recruit visit, and they see their work, then they're also going to know that if they were to dive into NIL, then they would be in good hands. I mean, we have players coming in that are kind of already making content and kind of they have pretty decent followings. Um, that I have an inkling that they're gonna dive deep into that NIL thing, and I mean I would encourage them to. That's your thing. I'm kind of losing the plot with this answer right now.
No,
Um,
well, can I add something in there as sort of
yeah, yeah.
something to piggyback off of? I think if you're at a Division II, let me propose something and let me get your thoughts. I'm just playing a hypothetical here. But like when you bring a brand such as Nike into the fold for Pittsburgh State, that in and of itself is huge. Don't get me wrong, but like with the responsibility that you have, you're creating buy-in not only of the recruits but also the community. The creating the buy-in creates outreach from the community, and then local businesses start to buy in as they see the product continue to cultivate and grow and grow and grow. And ultimately that comes back funneling through the school, because if you're a true business of the community, you want to buy into the school more and more, and you want to help them foster growth. You want to be able to bring in more recruits if you can. If you're a business owner and you're wanting to be able to market your brand in cahoots with Pittsburgh State, like I think you guys have all the promise in the world and all the potential in the world to grow. And I think that you guys are in it. Some might say it's not a good time. I think it's a great time to be able to be where you're at. And I'm talking about like you specifically. Like you have ample opportunity to capitalize, which you're taking full advantage of the moment. But I know that there are certain ideas that are going to continue to come along, and it's going to help you build that content and you're going to be able to build in both aspects, whether it be photography, videography, and graphic design, and it's going to create sort of this outreach, and that's ultimately and inevitably going to create buy-in. And so, like, for people to say, "Oh, Division Two," like most Division Two stereotypically get overlooked, and I'm like, why would you? Like, you have all the do you get my point? Like, you have all the
Yeah,
opportunity to buy in if you're a smaller business. And if you've ever been to Pittsburg State or Pittsburg, Kansas, it's not Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is 45 minutes from my house. It's by no means that size. It's a drive through town. I mean, if we can be frank,
yeah,
but I will say it is enriched with community, and I'll echo the same sentiment. The Gorilla Walk, which I have witnessed, um, it is insane. You know, being able to see all the people kind of rally together and support that team, like you would be crazy as a local business in there not to want to buy in and to be able to be a part of that outreach and ultimately be a part of that growth. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that or if that really piggybacked off of it, but I thought it was interesting
no, yeah.
perspective.
No, and I don't know if I'm gonna say the same thing, but the way I've always looked at it, is that the better the social media is, and I mean, this was one of my points when I proposed it to my boss about creating this internship. The better your social media is, the more eyes you get on it, the more eyes you get on it, the better recruits you have. The better recruits you have, the better the games are. The more games you win, the more money you get. The
Yeah.
more money you get, the more money the university gets, and it keeps going into a circle,
Trickle.
and it'll eventually just snowball.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, with the social media presence, like that's, and I mean, I if I remember correctly, my freshman year, like I think we grew to maybe like 4K in just like 6 months, and so
Easy.
just that growth alone shows that like there is a buy-in, and Luke Nigaman may have had a big part in that, but like there that just shows like that there is buy-in, and like people do want to continue to show up and keep seeing this stuff. And so if you didn't want to buy in into a continuing growing market, like I don't know, but I don't know.
Hey, we're trying to kick the stigma, Prince. Division two is not niche, man. Division two is not niche. Ball is ball. And I'm telling you,
Ball is
look,
ball.
ball is ball no matter where you go. Like if you are a Division two product in a Division two sphere, I mean, you are going to respect and appreciate. And even at Division one, don't get me wrong, you are turning heads where we're at. Like I have had conversations with people at the Division One level, and I'm not blowing smoke. I'm 100% honest when I say this. There are people that pay attention to your brand. And it's part of the reason that I was like, I want to be able to spotlight that because I don't think it gets spotlight enough that, it goes back to what I'm saying. Ball is ball. Like if you can ball, it's not just for the product on the field, it's for the product off the field. Like you guys are just as I guess what's the word, tasked, or you're just as responsible for the growth and the popularity. It is what you make it, and you're maximizing the opportunity. So that's kind of like the sentiment that I'm saying. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Um, I mean, yeah, I mean, I can just say that for at least my personal, like the opportunities I've had because of the stuff I've been creating at Pitt. I know my freshman year working at Pitt, that was kind of like the only work I was getting for a good minute, and I mean, with the stuff that I created with Pitt State, I was able to get freelance jobs working with NBA on Prime just because of that. And so it goes back to what you say, like if you can ball, like you can ball, and people will notice. It doesn't matter what program you're creating for, if you're creating good work. I mean that's what they say about football and bad, and like that's what they say about sports. If you can ball, they'll find you.
Yeah.
And so it really doesn't matter where you are, if you're putting your best foot forward, there the people will take notice.
How's it been transitioning from the three stripes to the swoosh?
I actually don't know. I head back to Pitt tomorrow, so
Okay.
we haven't gotten any gear yet. I've seen the jerseys. The jerseys look pretty nice. We're cooking up some stuff.
I
It's gonna
think the
come out
mascot
hopefully
teased
in
it.
like 2 weeks.
I think the mascot accidentally
Yeah,
teased it.
We don't talk about that. We don't talk
Okay,
about that.
okay. I'll cut that out. I'll cut that out. No,
Am I allowed to cuss on here?
yeah, you can cuss.
I low key freaked my shit when I saw that video. I was like, what the fuck are we doing? What the fuck?
Dude, I thought of
I'm
you.
like texting the media group chat. I'm like, bro, are you serious?
What are
Like
we
my
doing? I I thought of you and I was like, nah, I don't think Prince filmed this. I just in my head, I was
bro.
gonna text you, and I mean, you probably just had to be like, okay, we can delete this shit. Like, not doing this. We're not gonna proceed here. But I just, hey man, whatever y'all want to
And
do is
then
your
there's
prerogative.
like our Barstool account is like posting. They're posting it like the Pitt State account just teased the new jerseys. I'm like, bro, no. And
No,
like they're like screenshotting tweets of like parents of Pitt or like alumni like showing like did they just tease it like so I know it's like not just like a one person thing like multiple people think this and I'm just like I'm my heart's in my ass and I'm just like wow like this it's just
what are you doing? Ah, no, dude. Hey, man. Hey. I am not one for keeping secrets. So like. We've had some instances where I intrusive thoughts wanted to leak something so bad and just like, click, but I'm sworn to secrecy. I can't, can't do it. And you are of integrity as well. I know that you are probably one of those people that's like, nah, like at the right time. You feel me? So like,
yeah
yeah, you keep a secret. But no, anyways, I'm excited for you being able to make the switch over to this brand right here and being able to do that. I think that's going to give you that's going to be different. From lockups to branding and look and from a graphic design standpoint and even from a videography standpoint, have you thought much into the typography and sort of the elements that you want to integrate into this season or have we not thought that
I
far?
mean with the Nike switch it's been like a big switch because before they weren't really our athletic program wasn't really like they didn't really care like what type of fonts you used or like what type of colors you use but now that we've made the switch to Nike like they're like dead set like this is the font you have to use you need to put this footer in every graphic you need to use these colors these are new colors like don't use any other colors or we will execute you or
Yeah.
and just all these things so I mean it hasn't really been like that tough but it's just like one of those things like you'll pull up a font. You'll be like, I think this would look better with a different font, but that's not my place anymore. So this is just what I have to deal with, and it's okay. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining, but there's there's like sometimes that I wish I had the same freedom that I used to, but
Yeah.
that's just the way it is.
Yeah, because I would say I mean, for the branding over the course of the last couple years, it's been a pretty objective. Like, it's not been tied to a branding identity. Obviously, Adidas was the previous sponsor or the brand that you guys were with last year. But like, as far as fonts and packaging and branding and everything, it was for the most part objective. Like, there wasn't any ties to directly to the brand. It was very open-ended and you get with Nike and it's like, all right, look, I'm your only one and there's no other, like there's nobody else. And like
Yeah,
they'll be nice to you and they'll get you right. Like they'll get you all the, the assets that you need. Just having witnessed it being here and working with West Virginia, I mean, they are very hands-on in how they want to create things. Me personally, I've never had any interaction with any reps, but just, hearing stories and testimonials of those that have worked in those sort of the same settings and communicated with those guys, yes, they're Prince is not wrong. Like these guys are very, they want this, they want that, and they cannot have any other alternatives. So they're very, I guess, choosy and very picky with how they do things. But
yeah,
ultimately, inevitably, they know how to propel brands. And I mean,
yeah.
hell, the swoosh speaks for itself. Like you know this is Nike when you look at it. So, but anyways, I
Checks over
digress.
stripes.
Uh, exactly. That's what I like. That's what we like. All right. If you know, you know. Pivoting. So I want to kind of transition into a conversation piece that we talked about last time as well, and that being artificial intelligence. Perfect story for you, Prince. So I'm in a I'm working right now with facilities on a project for a trophy case, and this is going to commemorate the Big 12 championship run that the women's basketball had last season. Very cool. I also found out that I'm going to be getting a replica ring for the championship.
Oh,
That's cool. I got fitted for that. That's pretty neat. I didn't
hey.
know I was going to be getting that. I was texted, "Hey, what's your ring size?" I was like, "Don't know. Never been married before." So went to local Zales, looked like an absolute buffoon walking in there. You know, leave it to me wearing white t-shirt and black shorts like I'm homeless, and just walked up to the counter and said, "Hey, I need a ring measurement," and just flashed him the little ring finger, and got it measured, and we're good to go. So that's fun. But anyways, in the process of developing a new trophy case, and this thing has been a pain in my ass for the past 2 months, just trying to get all the elements and assets correct. And I've resorted to ChatGPT, and it's not been for like, hey, okay, I committed a sin today. I went in there and I said, give me a mock-up. I want to see what this looks like. But I've been asking it for dimensions and helping me to format every single element of this trophy case. And I guess my question is like, what is the fine line of integrating or implementing artificial intelligence into our workflow? Because I've noticed a lot of brands start to divert and I guess experiment with AI. I don't think anybody's fully been invested or taken their brand into AI. Wouldn't recommend it if you were thinking about it. But where do we sit in terms of AI and its future in the creative sphere and the sports landscape as a whole? What are your thoughts on it?
I feel like I just think as long as you're not posting it, I think you're fine.
Throw that shit in the trash.
Yeah, but I like I will always back like real art will always like prevail. I feel like once your audience finds out that you're using AI, like it's kind of just barbecue chicken from there. Like your comments will be flooded with that dude sitting on the throne, um, with like your AI slop or just a whole AI slop, and it takes away from what you're actually trying to promote because people are focused on the fact that you're using AI instead of what you're actually trying to promote. And I feel like people would rather, even though it might not be as effective, I think people would rather see really crappy graphics than see artificial intelligent graphics. But I mean, like for mock-ups, there's sometimes like you might not like know like how to lay something out, or you just might need like some inspiration. Like I feel like that's fine, but as long as it's not getting posted, I think it's fine, and you're not doing like an obsessive amount of it. I think I think it's fine.
Yeah, no, I refuse to show any of that crap to anybody because I'd be committing like again I call it a sin. Like you can't call yourself a graphic designer and say you've mastered AI and like that's how you graphic
Yeah.
design. You ain't a graphic designer, dog. You don't even know how to graphic design. So I just think me personally, it takes away the integrity, and it also for us like as videographers, photographers, uh, graphic designers, creatives as a whole, it just gives us a bad reputation and bad name. And marketing departments will somehow conform to this whole AI trend and think that we're supposed to buy into that. And we're really supposed to stand pat where we are in our perspective and how we've always created and be like, no, there is a right way of doing this. And there's a right course of action to go about this. We're not going to use AI as like the sole catalyst for putting together a project. Have you ever had any run-ins at Pitt State with anybody? You don't have to throw any names under the bus, but hey, could you remember a time when AI was brought up and you had to say, "Mm-mm, no,
Not me personally, but I have
lucky."
recently seen a few of our programs
Mm,
succumb to it, and there's nothing I can do.
mm, mm.
There's nothing I can do, and it's unfortunate because it's kind of like, hey, you're kind of like messing it up for all of us.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just kind of one of those things. Like it's it's kind of like a car crash. You just got to stand and watch.
That was a good analogy. That's a good metaphor, bud. I love that. You just like a car crash. You just gotta sit and watch. Maybe get your phone out and record. What are your thoughts on AI going forward and like the state of AI and where do you think we go from here with how popular it's become?
I mean, like it wasn't too long ago. Like we were looking at a deformed Will Smith eating spaghetti, and like we were talking like this. Yeah, like this AI will never go anywhere. So just to see where it's at now, it's only going to progress further.
Yeah.
And I mean, we just I feel like as creators we just have to keep showing up every day to remind people why like why what we do, like why we do what we do. You know what I mean? And why AI will, it might catch up, but it'll never be us. It'll always, like, we will always be the blueprint.
Yeah.
And I think we're just gonna have to keep showing up, and it's gonna be an uphill battle, but that's just one of those things that we're gonna have to keep showing up for.
Well, man, for being a second episode, I'll say it. You brought it. You've done a heck of a job, and even on hey, the second episode, in my humble opinion, I don't know what your thoughts are, but compared to the first episode, I think we've been very short, very concise, straight to the point answers. You've done a hell of a job, and I knew you could stand in the batter's box and take all the questions I was peppering you with. So I want to thank you for finding the time again to be able to come on and talk and basically revisit this story that we once had and now we don't, but now we have it again. So let's try and keep it. So I can't thank you enough for coming on. I got a couple more questions for you and I will send you on your merry way. Um, some advice for creatives that are wanting to get into this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I knew you thought I was gonna forget. I don't forget, brother. Well, you seem to forget. What was that good piece of advice that you would want to provide creatives wanting to get into this industry today, whether collegiately or professionally?
Lucky for you, I do remember what I
Damn
said.
it.
Um,
Damn it.
do it for the game. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you didn't. Yeah, you
No,
got it wrong.
no.
You butchered your own shit, man. Carry on.
uh, So some advice I would give to any upcoming creatives, whether that's collegiate or high school or lower level or just freelance, is if even if you look at my career, I would say just do it for the love of the game, and the game will love you back.
I love it.
Um, I
I'm gonna be
mean,
honest, it didn't hit as hard as the first time
yeah,
because it
dude.
was so organic.
I
But
tried to get it to hit hard, but it didn't. But it didn't.
say it again. Say it again for the people that missed it.
Do it for the love of the game, and the game will love you back.
Okay. All right. All right. You said it with a little bit more intentionality there. I love that. I love that. Okay. All right. Yeah, no. Do it for the love of the game, and the game will love you back. I love that. I absolutely love that. I should
Definitely.
write that on my mirror. That's a bar. That's a bar. I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean the creative field, honestly, it's a very underpaid and overworked job, and so there's gonna be days where like, hey, like you're asking way too much of me right now. Like I don't want to do this, but if you generally love doing what like you if you love doing video, like especially with video, like it's a lot of like shooting for hours and then editing for hours and listening to the same song over and over and over and over and over again, and it's a lot of repetition. But if you love it, you will like reap the work that you sow. You know what I mean? Like work will win when wishing won't. That's what my coach always used to say. And you got to have love for the game. And when you're working for if you're working for something else other than the love of the game, you're gonna get burnt out quick. But if you got love for the game, you're never gonna get burnt out.
Mm, I love that. That's very profound, very well said, and it's probably going to go on my quote wall. I'll probably write that down. I'll write that on the mirror so I can look at that every single morning. I love that quote. I think it's cool. Um, there was one other question that I had and I forgot. You know what? Now we're playing the forget game. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's episode number one. of the Creative Juices podcast. He is Prince Miller. You make sure you go find him and follow him at Short Hercs. I think I understand what that name means now. Is it like short Hercules? Short Hercules?
Yeah, that was well. That's the full name, but like I got that name from like that was like my YouTube name when I started in second grade. It was just like an Xbox gamer tag, but
Oh, we just kept with
uh,
it.
yeah, we just kept it going. I never thought of anything else.
Well, if I used my old gamer tag, I probably would not have the job that I have now. But that's a story
I'm
for a
surprised I
different.
have a job now with the name I do, but
Hey man, hey, I won't even get into it. It wasn't. It's not a family friendly name. But with all that said, man,
okay,
make
okay.
sure you find him and follow him. Just paint your own illustrations. Find him and follow him at Short Hercs on Instagram and TikTok. And are you active on Twitter?
Not really,
Not really.
but I do have a Twitter.
Well, if you find him on Twitter, follow him. Give him a follow. And make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast, man. Give us a follow here as well. Episode number 2 is going to be dropping next week with Jeremy Daniels Jr. But for now, you've been listening to episode 1. Prince, I cannot thank you enough for coming to the rescue and answering the bell for this second recording of this episode. You've been a blast, man. I'm very appreciative of you, brother, and genuinely, I hope that this season you guys kick ass and take names. And I know you will. I know you'll deliver week in and week out, and whatever comes your way, man, I know you'll be prepared for it. So I'm excited to see what content that you guys drum up down there at Pittsburg State. And who knows? When I'm in town, I got to come catch a game. I got to come see. I got to
Yeah,
come see a game.
yeah. You need to, man. You need to. We need to have a in person link up or something, man.
I need to go experience the gorilla walk and maybe make amends with Gus the gorilla, and maybe just put our differences aside and be like, look,
You gotta reface your fears, man.
yeah, look,
So
maybe if
do a
you,
little fear factor episode.
yeah, yeah, I dead ass, I am scared shitless of that freaking mascot. I'm a grown man. Well, some might say. But I'm a grown child and I'm scared beyond straight. I'm scared beyond scared straight of Gus the damn gorilla. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe if he takes the freaking fur arms off, we'll be fine. But or maybe the mask off. It's probably a woman or something. What am I scared of? All right, you've been listening to the Creative Juices podcast, episode number 2, coming out next week. Thanks for listening, everybody. Take it easy.